I want to thank everybody for the 6,403 likes in 3 years. We just hit that the other day. So I'm proud of that. People are watching our shows. We got over 400 shows. They're all on YouTube, and they're all TV shows. And we've been doing this since October 11th, 2011. So we just keep going through it each week and add another one, and we're proud to do this. Now, our show's sponsored by Skeets Lewandowski Skeets Service Station. The What's on Your Mind is sponsored by him, and he's about 7 miles from my house in Finleyville. Anything that runs on gas, he works on. You name it, from cars, boats, even tractors. I've seen him have tractors in there, and he takes care of that. Lawnmowers, you name it. Anything on gas, he fixes them, takes care of them, and good place to go. And we're going to start with what's on your mind, and we're going to start doing that right now. Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine. Hey, I want to thank everybody for coming out. If you haven't done so already, do yourself a favor, grab a menu, because the only burger I like better than a Roethlisberger is the talking machine Big Mouth Burger. I only work 3 days a year, so tomorrow, if you happen to be on your lunch break, from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, I'll be on KDKA Radio 1020, so tune in. You know, if there's a Mount Rushmore for college football teams, Pitt would be on it. You know, Pitt had some of the greatest teams of all time. Pitt has won 9 national championships. The 1976 Pitt team was the greatest team of all time. Pitt had some of the greatest football players in college football history. You know, Dan Marino, greatest quarterback of all time. Tony Dorsett, greatest tailback of all time. Larry Fitzgerald, wide receiver. Iron Mike Ditka, tight end. Bill Fralick, offensive line. Aaron Donald, defensive line. Hugh Green, linebacker. Tommy Flynn, safety. And Darrelle Revis, greatest cornerback of all time. James Conner's the only star running back in Pittsburgh that don't smoke weed. James Conner beats the odds each and every day of the week. James Conner is great on the field. James Conner is great off the field. James Conner beats cancer every day of the week. And Pitt will beat Penn State every day of the week.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. I appreciate it. He mentioned him. He mentioned him. That's Jimmy Mad Dog Savetic, happens to be in the audience here. Little shout out to him. With all he does for the kids, does a lot for the kids in boxing, has done it forever, and just a great guy. What's on my mind is the Pirates playing their way out of the playoffs. Smoking Jim stopped mentioning that he predicts them going to the World Series. I don't know what happened. He does listen to him, even though he's an NFL scout. He does listen to him on the radio. At least he's told us that. So we just have to watch some of his predictions here. But he was entertaining today, covering those 9 championships and all those football players in the NFL. So it was good. But the Buccos are disappointing. People are getting hurt. People can't pitch. They're giving up dozens of runs, 10, 12 runs a game. It's crazy. We just keep losing. We're playing our way out of the playoffs. So it's sad. They still have a team that could do it, but you have to do something special. You got to get those W's. So that's what's on my mind. I know I watch baseball. I'm a baseball fan. Just disappointed right now with their results. So we're going to move on and go to our guests right now. welcome to the show first.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, what do you have for Smokin' Jim? There was something about a photo.
Yes, he asked me, and I would deliver an 8x10 photo of my pro show that I did for him to have.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Let me just hold it for a second. Okay. That goes into his shrine. He's now expanded into 3 rooms of photos.
Nice.
So thanks for adding to that. Now, where was this show?
That particular show was my pro debut. It was in Kansas City.
Kansas City. How long ago did you start doing this?
I have been a figure competitor for 2 years. Yeah. That show was a year ago, almost to the day. It was September 19th last year.
Pretty close. How did you meet Smokin' Jim Frazier?
On Facebook.
Ah, jeez.
I have a pretty big following on Facebook with my fitness business, and so I'm always posting fitness stuff on there. And
With pretty women?
yes,
Okay.
people I train, everybody, other figure competitors, and
He's friended all of them.
Yes, he just happened to stop by.
Yeah. He's not a stalker, but
No,
he's
not
sort
by
of
any
close.
means. Yes, not by any means.
Well, I'm glad he got you to come to the show.
Thank you.
And how many days a week do you work out?
It varies. If I'm getting ready for a competition, it's 6 to 7 days a week. Right now, I'm in my off season, and I'm trying to build muscle. So I'm in the gym about 4 to 5 days.
How much time do you spend there?
Usually about an hour to an hour and a half at the most.
That's pretty good.
Not too bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. And what got you interested in this sport? And what do you compete as? That's what I need to know, because he didn't fill me in on any details. Just said Jeanette's a great guest. She'll be there.
My division in bodybuilding, but bodybuilding has expanded a lot over the last 10 to 15 years. When we think of bodybuilding, we think of Arnold Schwarzenegger and the completely ripped, vascular, huge men. But it has evolved a lot over the last 10 to 15 years, and there's a lot more women involved with it now.
We've had a bunch on our show.
Yes, with the different divisions. I do the figure division, so we are required.
And what does that entail?
We're required to have muscularity, but still look feminine. And I can build.
Give us one pose. Do you got a pose you could do?
I can. Yeah, I can.
All right.
So this is one of our poses. So we try to look pretty but muscular at the same time. And then we try to do our back pose.
Jeff's getting all of that.
Yeah, so
Smokin' Jim hurt his neck.
when I tell my
Thank you for doing that,
Yeah,
by the
sure,
way.
no problem. When I tell my competition clients, my figure girls, I say you need to look like the Statue of Liberty out there. It's not like a bikini contest, but you're not a male bodybuilder, so look statuesque and regal.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
I like it. And do you have any champs out of your fitness center?
Yes, I've coached quite a few competitors over the last couple years, and we've gotten some first place trophies, some seconds, some thirds.
Congrats.
Yes, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I love coaching competitors, and I also love just teaching fitness. I've been doing that for 10 years.
Oh, really? Nice. And where are you located at?
I train out of the Exercise Warehouse in Bloomfield.
Okay.
Yes, the best gym in Pittsburgh.
Well, that's one of our friends, Marco, there.
Yes.
One of the
The
best.
best.
Definitely. I saw him Saturday night at the fights, so
Yeah, he's great.
he is.
It's a great gym.
I've been there, and it's old school.
Very. I love it. I love training people there. I love working out there.
It has those mirrors around there.
Yeah, and every picture, it's like a museum in there of bodybuilding. I mean, we're talking
he has-
30, 40, 50
Right.
years.
He has a lot of the people in Pittsburgh that have gone there and competed and
Yes.
won.
Yes.
Just fantastic, an amazing facility.
Yes.
At least we agree on that.
Absolutely.
So when's your next competition that you're trying to muscle up? What's the plan?
Well, it's a big one. I have done, I'm a pro in the IFPA Federation, and I also compete in NPC. and I would love to become an IFBB pro someday. And next July, I will be competing. That'll be my next show in Pittsburgh here for Masters Nationals. And hopefully.
Well, good luck and congratulations.
Thank
That
you very
sounds
much.
great.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to it. So trying to put on a little bit of size before I start the cut probably next April. I'll start to really.
Sure, we're familiar with people that have to do that.
Yes, it's a lot of fun.
It's part of the process there.
It is. It's
Definitely.
the hardest part.
You got to get ready.
Yeah, I enjoy lifting heavy in the gym now, and eating, lifting heavy, and being able to put on muscle. And then the hard part, the challenging part, is the diet. Of course, that's the hardest part of bodybuilding. Most people think you got to spend hours in the gym, but it's really hours in the kitchen preparing.
It's what you eat and
Preparing
how
your-
many pounds
your
of chicken
clean
you
food.
prepare.
Absolutely, yes.
So you eat clean?
Yes, when I'm getting ready to compete, I am very strict. Obviously, I have to be, and I can vary my foods a little bit as long as I stay in calorie deficit and I meet all my macros, my protein, my carbs, and my fat grams. So as long as I can hit those, I can vary my meals a little bit. I don't have to be super strict until about 2 weeks out from the show.
So you can have a talking machine Big Mouth burger sandwich.
That would be probably 2 or 3 days worth of my macros.
Just had to throw that out.
Yeah.
So I had my 2 cents with that. I don't make anything on it, but they named it burger after me here. And look at Smoking Jim.
I see. He's enjoying it.
He's handling it.
I like that.
Definitely. Would you like to give out a number to your gym where you work out for clients, or?
It's the website is builtinbloomfield.com, and I train there. And my fitness business is called Fit for Life, and my website is fit4lifepgh.com. Fit4lifepgh.com.
Thanks for being a great guest.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome back, my friend. It's nice to see you here. What a fight that I saw. You brought the best out of yourself. The crowd, it was like a movie. Just unbelievable. It's the second fight in a row that we've watched where you've pounded a guy and he's hard-headed. But I do have to ask you, I did see later on a punch that seemed to come out of nowhere. The Magic Man brought some magic, is what I said.
Yeah, the fight was rough from the start. We headbutted in the first round, but I kept hearing.
I saw that blood.
Yeah, I kept hearing Jimmy say, "How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it?" And so every time he says that, I don't know, something about it just gets me riled up, and that's where the knockout came from.
And it did come out there. You knocked him down. It was a shocker.
Yeah, it was needed, and prior to that knockout, the fight was close. We were back and forth, blow for blow.
That it was. You guys were battling and brawling there.
Yeah, it was. I didn't expect it to go like that, but afterwards, after the fight, he said he was studying me, so that's where it came from. We didn't expect him to hit that hard or be that strong, but he came.
Yeah, he was a pretty good competitor. You've stepped up your game, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. But our saying in the gym, as I mentioned before, was stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
And you look ready.
Yeah, always ready.
And we were talking a little bit before. Tell everybody when you're fighting next or about.
Well, we're looking for any shows in October to get on right now. So any show, October, September, we're training, we're fixing mistakes and taking it from there.
Fine-tuning it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, I can't wait. The Meadows was just sold. There's now new owners. They just took over on the 12th. So I don't know with the boxing there. That might be up in the air from what I've been told. Since I know Matt McGovern, he puts on a nice event. You know, went to the local fighters. It was great to see all the local fighters there.
Yeah, that show was jam-packed with a lot of local talent. Me, Gerald Sherrill, Rocky Zapata, everybody.
Rod Salka.
Rod Soka, he was the main event that fight, and he looked good out there.
Yours looked like the main event.
Well, I do the best I can.
I saw that. He brought more of that magic out than I thought you had.
Yeah, we went from boxing, which was the game plan, to just slugging it out. And I don't mind a good slugging out, but
You don't want to do it all the time.
exactly in my last two fights, as you said before, like I had to slug it out, but you do what you got to do in a situation.
Well, That guy in the previous fight we talked about, he took some hellacious punches to the head. Like you gave it everything you had, and guess what? He just walked right back up to you.
Yeah, that fight, that guy was actually Panamanian, like Roberto Duran, so it was a Duran-Leonard fight.
Yeah, that truly was. And his fight before that, it looked like he won the fight.
Yeah, actually, during that fight on August 27th, I thought he won the fight, but they ended up calling it a draw, I guess, because he riled up late and started bringing it to the guy, and
yeah,
it is what it is.
Who knows? When it goes to judges, anything can happen. We've seen that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm told all the time, don't leave it up to the judges, and so that's what I had.
You did your best. I saw it happen. He was on the floor.
Yeah, it was the TKO came, I think, 15 seconds before the end of the round, which would have been the end of the fight. So,
well, that's why I know you got that magic and magician nickname. That's where the magic come out.
yeah, definitely, I feel as though that I perform better under pressure. So whenever there's that urgency, then that's who I really am.
You stepped up is what I see. When I see it, you stepped up, went above and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, after a while, you can't just keep fighting guys who are mediocre. You have to take that step next up on the ladder. So I look forward to my next fight.
So do we.
Yeah.
We can't wait. Anything else you got to say? What else is going on? we got to bring the Jimmy Cvetic up.
Yeah, my mentor and trainer, Jimmy Cvetic.
I call him a tour mentor.
What's unique about him? You got to realize we're grooming a champion here. Since he's a little boy, 15 years old, he's going to be the people's champion. That's very important. He's in the United States Navy. He was gone for a year of his training because he was down there, extensive training while he was in the United States Navy. He goes to the college. He came in one day. I was mad at him because he didn't make the honor roll. He made high honor. When he was a little boy, he was always kind of in trouble. Okay, and
we're not talking about that.
No, we're not.
All these kids have little issues here.
Yeah,
we work through it.
Right, we actually a little bump in the road.
Right.
But I'll
And
tell
you
you
pass those bumps.
And I'll tell you what we have right now. Tonight he was at the gym, and he's so modest, he won't tell you. He was working with a little kid named Ian, who's 10 years old. He was teaching this kid who's actually being bullied, and they call this other kid Leprechaun. So Monte took this kid under his wing and was working with him for about an hour tonight. And this is I guess it's been about 6-7 weeks now you've been working with him. So there's more to just boxing. And when he got in that night, and he's going against Morton, we didn't plan for a fight like that. That guy, he made us fight like that. And so Monte got up there, and what happened that night was Monte he took away the play. He came inside with a Monte, and Monte rose to it. Well, how bad do you want it? And you mentioned the other day, what's wrong with the Pirates? They don't want it bad enough. They lost the spirit. They got the talent, but how bad do you want? How bad do you want anything? And that makes the difference between bodybuilding.
And he's supporting the Pirates. I appreciate and respect that.
Wow, I think so too. I think they have the team that can do it. I just think, how bad do you want anything? And
when are you going to go down and inspire them?
Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could? Someday he's going to go out and throw a pitch. Some days because you guys were with him when he was a kid, Golden Glove. Yeah. You're part of our team. I really do appreciate what you've done, Smoke and Al. Thank you. And I'll tell you what, I'm really proud of him. And he is going to be the people's champion. And if you look at it, great fighters. But can you name Mayweather's it? You can name a couple guys. Heavyweight, really? All of a sudden, he's going to bring this. It's more than being. You can either be a villain like Tyson, okay, or Duran, or you can be a great guy like Sugar Ray Leonard, the Golden Boy De La Hoya, or like the Magician. When he marches into that ring, we carry American flags. Okay, that's who we are. That's how we roll. And guess what? It comes down to how bad you want it, boys. Hey, listen,
we found out.
Thank you. Let him tell some more about him now. Get here.
Victor, from the moment I met the guy, he's been all about the kids, all about helping me out, basically trying to position me into a favorable position for myself and my kids as well. Yeah. He's assisted me, gave me a job after I came back from the Navy, and ever since then we just been hit it up.
He's just a very good man, definitely. He's a man of his word, and he keeps it.
Everything he says he'll do. And prior to picking Victor to be my manager, I just seen how people gravitate towards him, just as an individual.
I know what you mean.
So that being said, if everyone around you loves you, I'm saying that speaks volumes about your character. So
Great point. Great infomercial for, what is that, Watson Chevrolet?
correct, Watson Chevrolet.
How do I know this stuff? We got that covered.
Yeah, definitely.
We covered it, Victor, even though you didn't make it. Hey, thank you very much. Good luck in all you do.
As always, it's a pleasure to be on your show.
Joe, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure. Tell them who you are and what you do.
Well, Al, I've been a football scout and a basketball scout, and I no longer scout basketball players, but for a long time, evaluation, recruiting, I'm involved in that. And then I ran a basketball and a football camp simultaneously for 40 years. I've been doing this for 40 years, and nationwide for basketball and football, Pennsylvania. I cover Pennsylvania. We had a lot of good players from this region. I enjoyed doing it. It's been a great opportunity for me for all these years.
Well, thanks for reaching out to me, and it was special when you said you knew my dad.
Well, I knew your father. Your father, Saul, was an outstanding referee. Actually, in my younger days, I refereed. I had the pleasure of refereeing with him. He was terrific. And then when I coached basketball, he refereed some of my games, did a great job. So you
He wasn't a homer. He bragged about not being a homer.
No, he wasn't a homer. He was very fair.
Did you hire him more than once?
I love to have him around. I wish I had him every game. He was terrific.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Now, you said you wanted to talk about high school football. Let's go.
Well, I'll be glad to talk any way you can. If you have any particular questions, I'll be glad. But this region here has been good to me. Western Pennsylvania has been a great football area for a long time. It really, back in the 60s and 70s, it was one of the most prolific football areas in the country. Out of the 23 quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame, 6 of them are from this region, which is fantastic.
It is.
It
truly is.
It really is.
It's the water.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. They always.
I think it's when the economy was booming and the mills were great, and people were working, and there was a lot of hard-working people here, and the coaching was outstanding, and the players fit into that system and were very productive. They're disciplined here, and the football is great. And the players are leaving this region. They're leaving the high schools here, and they're going on to college, and they're productive, and many of them are going on to the NFL and playing football. So it's a great area for football. I cover the whole state. Philadelphia's getting the same way. Yeah. It's getting really good over in that region.
Very good. I appreciate it. I lived through it. Graduated in '74, so saw a lot of great high school games.
Now, where'd you go to high school?
Keystone Oaks.
You're a KO guy. And KO has a really good football program. They dropped off a little bit. Their enrollment's been down because there's nowhere to build over in that, Green Tree.
Well, here, the strange thing about it, the high school is in Mount Lebanon.
Exactly. There's 3 high schools in Mount Lebanon, which a lot of people don't know. You have Mount Lebanon High School. You have Keystone Oaks, which was built on a tract of land that is in Mount Lebanon. And then you have Seton LaSalle, which was South Hills Catholic. It's built on the border of Brookline.
Right across the street.
Right across the street. So there's 3 high schools in Mount Lebanon. Not many people know that, but now.
They do now.
They do now, right.
Or they got revived on that.
Right. And Mount Lebanon sold that land to Keystone Oaks, or whatever it was called prior to Keystone Oaks, sold that piece of land, which I'm sure right now, due to the astronomical rise of soccer and lacrosse, they probably would love to have that land back to, in an unselfish way, to build all kind of fields.
It's too late.
Too late now. But Keystone, that's a great.
That was vacant land. The friends of mine in Dormont would hunt animals there.
We used to walk when I came home from high school. Would walk.
Where'd you go?
South Hills Catholic back then. So we'd walk through there. There was a nice stream running through there, all kind of wildlife in that area.
Amazing.
Yeah, really, truly amazing. And nobody even knew it was part of Mount Lebanon.
Yeah, they snuck it in there.
They slid it in nice. But
Now let's talk about high school. Do you watch, or are you scouting any of this now, or what's going on?
Here's how it evolved, Alan. Back when I first started 40 years ago, it was very difficult to get film. It was in the film. Sure. The film was in a canister. Remember the old canisters? It was reel to reel.
I do remember.
Yeah, you had to have a projector back then, and it was
How
really.
about the film would come off the projector and it'd go around? How many times did you have to stop it and say, "Put that back on," or get some tape?
Created a lot of problems for a guy like me to be able to evaluate players. So I depended on the high school coaches to get their proper evaluations and the strategic information from about each kid. And then I depended on college coaches to get their evaluations. And then as the game evolved, you had to go to games. There's only so many games you could go to.
Yeah.
I'd go
Physically, it's impossible to go to more than one.
For example, I'd go to Jim's old high school, Gateway. Yeah, leave Gateway High School at halftime and hurry up and drive to Penn Hills and try and get there for the second half so I could see enough players. But with only 10 weeks of a season, you can only see so many people. So we really relied on the coaches' information and the college football coaches' information. And
you must have built a lot of great relationships. What's the name of your business again?
Metro Index, Joe Butler's Metro Index. You can't burn any bridges. You got to be real optimistic. You got to be very positive, and you got to try and work in conjunction with the high school coaches and the parents and the kids. But I got to be realistic in my evaluations because the colleges pay me, and I don't want to make any mistakes.
Makes sense.
If you overrate and over-evaluate, they'll say, "Hey, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. We don't want to buy his information."
Well, your reputation being in business that long means everything.
Correct. You got to be very diligent when you're evaluating a player. Make sure they get into the right level. So as the game evolved into the 80s, it was still. I ran a camp at Mount Lebanon.
Did you?
Yeah, I ran a football camp at Mount Lebanon High School. Then had left there and had to expand and go to Duquesne University. They had 2 fields. And then when they built UPMC on the south side,
okay,
I was very fortunate to know Kevin Colbert. He was a so-called general manager, director of football ops for the Steelers. He talked to people in there to let me utilize that field. So my camp exploded. Yeah, I got lucky. The camp exploded after that.
Hey, relationships.
Hey,
that's the secret.
A lot of people don't notice, but Kevin Colbert was a basketball coach at Robert Morris.
Really?
And worked at my basketball camp. That's how I know him. And he started in basketball, but knew the right people from North Catholic, knew he was a two-sport guy, and then he evolved.
Look what he became.
Correct. Right. Yeah, he did a great job and evolved, but he was a two-sport.
Well, Donahue was a basketball coach because my dad told me he refereed for him when he was at Seton LaSalle or something, or South Hills Catholic.
Tom Donahue is a close friend of mine. He coached basketball.
I was assuming as much.
West Allegheny, and he was at South Park coaching football. I coached with him at Seton. The turnover year from South Hills Catholic to Seton LaSalle, coached with him for 3 years. And then he was working for Blesto, and then the Steelers hired him like in the early 80s. So he's had a terrific meteoric rise in his career.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He did well.
Well, he's been a good man, and he very understands the game and is a great evaluator of talent. And right now he's still working for the Philadelphia Eagles. He lives around the South Hills of Pittsburgh and has a job for the Eagles, but lives around here. And he's been in football for a long time. So, and he's
even longer than you.
Longer, longer, a few years longer, man.
Okay.
I don't tell you how many.
All right. I was probing there.
Yeah, that's all right. But then in the 80s it evolved, and then in the 90s, they started getting these DVDs, DVD discs
Yeah.
for the film.
Amazing.
Amazing. So you could copy a
Look
film.
what these do. It's like
Yeah.
having a computer with you.
Yeah, you're right. You could copy film off a TV and watch it. And I used to sit around and copy DVD discs and send out gigantic boxes of
Hold on, I'm
tape-
gonna ask.
tapes.
I'm gonna ask Millie. Is this what he was doing? That's amazing.
And then
You loved it.
yeah, big boxes of tapes to University of Minnesota, Purdue, all these different schools. So,
Sure.
and then they got it down to a DVD disc, and now the computer technology has taken over, and now you can go right on the internet. And
They
can
just
show
post it there. Sure.
I can show you a film of a young man that you want to look at right now, right on my phone.
Send it to Smoking Jim.
I need his email address. I'll take care of that.
He's got like 150,000 emails. He doesn't delete anything. So he's out of control there.
He got one of those, or is my voicemail box is full? Do you have one of those?
He has that. He's beyond it. Technology's sort of in the dust on it. He knows how to use it.
Well, I saw his list of the top high school players. So
His nifty 50.
was that what it was? Yeah.
That's what he's calling it. He changes stuff
It
up
looked
all the
good.
time.
He did a good job. He did a good job with that.
Well, he watches film, a lot of games.
That's good.
all
You
year,
got to watch
every
you gotta
week.
Watch these guys. You got to make sure your evaluations are true, because when these college football coaches come into town, their time is at a premium, and they cannot afford to
They
make.
can't waste it.
They cannot afford to make mistakes.
Right.
So they want to boom, 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 make sure they're not wasting time traveling, because traveling around Western Pennsylvania is not easy. You know that. But all the hills.
Hold it, just the rivers. How many people even like to cross 2 rivers? You're an exception. He's an exception. You guys are amazing because you do that.
Coaches call me just for directions. Say, hey, Joe, how do you get from here to here? Well, I'm fortunate enough over all my years.
Did you know?
I know if you can find Deer Lakes High School, you can find any high school. If you can find Vela's not too bad, but if you can find these high schools, you know how to get around this area.
My dad would referee games in Turkey Foot, PA.
Yeah. Turkey Foot High School's right down on the Maryland border in Somerset County. I've been there. I know where it is.
I knew I wouldn't stump you, but I had to toss that out there. He'd take me as a 9, 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid in the car. Where are we going? Are we there yet? We were traveling an hour and a half.
Oh, you go to the games? with
Yeah, I went to his games.
Berlin, you ever been to Berlin Brothers Valley High School, where they make the pretzels in that little town of Berlin, and they tap the trees?
No, I missed that.
Oh, that's in Somerset County, too. They tap the trees for syrup.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been all,
I missed
I've been
it.
all over
He
the
wouldn't stop. I needed to stop to see it. He wouldn't stop.
I've been all over the place. This is a great area, but if you don't know your way around with all the construction and the detours, you can get lost
Oh, I believe it.
very easily. So these coaches will call me for directions all the time.
And you send him to the right place.
Even with GPS, I still need directions.
You're
Yeah.
probably better than that because GPS in some of the wilderness isn't very good.
No, you're right.
Just ask Smoking Jim and I when we were going to Cal U. He graduated from Cal U. We had to stop. There was a guy at his house had a shotgun, and a lady was sweeping off the porch. He made me go out and ask for directions.
With a shotgun.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to tell you this little story. You'll notice Coach's name. I'm down at running a basketball. You think California's bad? Try West Liberty, West Virginia. Wow. You ever
I'd
hear
rather
that?
not. I've heard of it.
Now, if you live in Bridgeville, it's only 50 minutes from
50?
Bridgeville. 50 from Bridgeville. People don't know that. You go through Avella and out.
You keep hitting that Avella there.
Yeah, I know. Well, nice little.
I know people that owned horses that live in Avella from the Meadows.
So you go through there, you go through Bethany and up over the hill. Well, I'll make this real brief. I ran a basketball camp there back a while ago. Jim Calhoun, who was the head coach at University of Connecticut before he was there, was at Northeastern in Boston. Well, he comes down to the camp. He was a tall, lanky guy, and he liked to jog. So he gets out and jogs, and those roads go. You know, I mean, they crisscross. They're in the mountain
Sure.
hills of West Virginia and western Pennsylvania. He gets lost. He had no cell phone back then, of course. You know, that's before the cell
sure.
phone era. He didn't know what to do. So he goes up to a farmhouse, and he said, Joe, I didn't know what to do. I was lost, knocked on a door. This lady opens up the curtain, looks out, and goes, you know, who are you? And then she opens up the door and said, he goes, I'm lost. I was jogging. I had to come in the house. Come in the house. Can I use your phone? So she said, hold on a minute. He said she pulled out a shotgun.
There you go.
Well, he got on the phone and called over to West Liberty and got a hold of me and said, Joe, I got a lady pointing a shotgun at me. Can you do me a favor? Send somebody over on this road to pick me up, please. I have no idea where I'm at. So now Jim Calhoun, I mean,
That's
what
amazing.
an experience that was.
Great story. Thanks for sharing that.
No problem.
I appreciate
I
it.
got a lot of stories.
Smoking
about
Jim wants to ask you something.
Former Pittsburgh Steeler great Keith Willis went to Northeastern as well.
You're right, and I knew Keith. Keith used to come by my football camp when he was coaching at University of Cincinnati. I know Keith. He coached at Boston College, coached at Cincinnati, and unfortunately Northeastern had dropped their football program, as did Boston University, which was right up there in that one area, one region of. They have all the Harvard, Boston U, Boston College, Northeastern. They have a bunch of colleges right in that little region. But those two dropped their programs.
Interesting.
Yeah, I got a lot of interesting stories.
Now, when are your camps? You
Well, the NCAA passed some rules back in 2007 that had an adverse effect on my football camp, and I couldn't have Division I coaches attend, and so, you know, I decided to discontinue the camp because it wasn't fair to bring kids in and lead them on. So I didn't have a football camp, and I just evaluated.
What a disappointment.
Yeah, it was good for the guy. It was good for the football players. It was good for the high school coaches. It was like a unit, a group where I could bring all the kids in, try and get the better players, and then the college coaches during the May spring evaluation period, which was in May, could come in
And
see all these guys at UPMC or Duquesne at UPMC,
Sure.
evaluate them properly, and with an opportunity to maybe go to the school in the next day or two and offer a scholarship to the young man. So it worked out great, but who knows what the rationale.
things end for certain rules, and they change stuff, and maybe somebody got a bug up their butt.
Yeah, you know. I mean, it could have been. I don't know what the factors are. I have different theories, but
We don't want to hear them.
I don't want to. But
It's
worked
just
out.
not right.
But you just move forward, full speed ahead. Try something else.
Do you have a basketball camp or anything you run?
I
Or
lost that because of rule changes. AAU.
I'm not asking about any more camps anymore.
You know, I could be in Ripley's, believe it or not, because I lost a third job because of a rule change. But they might put me.
You
in
gotta
the
be
guy-
kidding.
The guy in America lost 3 jobs, 3 positions because of rule changes. So.
And you're
all right.
still here going.
Still, hey, full speed ahead. You know, I'm like on a speedboat here, full throttle. That's all.
Nice. We got rivers for you.
I don't think I want to go in these rivers yet.
Nah,
Swimming
okay.
in the river. I'll go on a boat in the river, not swimming.
Yeah, that's it. No swimming there, guarantee. You got another story you could share with me? I know you tell lots of stories.
I got all kind of stories.
Tell me a football story.
Trying to
What
think
kind of
it-
football story? With some players or coaches or your experience?
Well, let me tell you this story.
Gateway story.
But I got some Gateway story. Gateway was good because Coach Pete Annamarino, when I first called him on the phone, he goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "Coach, you know, I'm working in football. I'm just getting started." He says, "Well, I want to meet you because I have no idea who you are, and I'd like."
He's old school.
He was an old throwback coach from back in the, a great guy though. So I said, okay, I'm going to drive out to Gateway High School on the Gateway campus, and I'll come out and meet you and watch her practice, and and I come out, and he was old throwback. I mean, he was meat and potatoes, and Jim would know that.
Well, yeah.
What a great guy. What a phenomenal guy. And I got to tell you this other story real.
Come on, give us. You got some
This
time
will be
here.
the last one. This will be the last one.
I want one from you. Yeah.
Okay. There was a guy from your community. I know where you're from, Bethel Park, from your community. There was an outstanding basketball player named Armand Gilliam.
His best friend.
Yeah. Okay.
You didn't know that.
I didn't know that. No, I don't know.
His
I didn't
best
know that.
friend.
Okay. Armand, when I went out, Red Ryan was his coach. I went out to a game, and he was a junior, and I looked on the bench, and I see this gigantic guy sitting on the bench but not getting in the game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I called Coach Ryan up on the phone. I said, Rhett, can I ask you a favor? Can I come out to a practice and watch that big guy that sits on your bench? Because you can hardly put him in. He said, well, Joe, he's a junior. He's raw.
Every excuse in the book.
He's not ready yet. And I said, okay, well, I went out and watched practice. This kid's pretty good. So he had a good senior year. He developed. So he went up to they had a basketball tournament in Sharon called the Sharon Hoyle Tournament. And it was all kind of high school. They organized teams from different cities in western Pennsylvania, Philly, Buffalo, all over the place. They came to Sharon. So
Amazing.
Armand played on a team, and I think a guy named John Gipko coached him. Remember John Gipko from Beachview? Yeah. And he did really well. He played great in that thing. But a guy from Independence Community College in Kansas recruited him. He went there for 1 year. I'll go quick. Okay. Went there for 1 year. So I got to know Armand. So he called me on the phone. He said, hey, Mr. Butler, I'm out here in sagebrush is blowing on the street. There's nobody here.
Yeah.
I'm here 1 year. I want out of here. So I said, why don't you do this, Armand? Why don't you come and work my basketball camp this summer, and I'll try and figure out a plan for you. So we, make it real brief. He comes and works at my basketball camp. He's playing with the kids. This guy's 6'9", 240, playing, looks really good. He says, I want out of here. So I went and met with his mom. And dad was a small guy, if you remember, and the mom was a real.
I just met his mom 2 years ago.
Yeah,
very nice lady.
Bigger woman. And I went over and met with him. She said, oh, Mr. Butler, can you help on? He wants out of there. So I started calling some people. I called Tim Gergrich, who was at UNLV, Lefty Drizel, who was at Maryland, and Judd Heathcote, I knew. He was at Michigan State. They said, we're interested. But there was one little catch. Armand couldn't play because he was a non-qualifier in high school. He didn't have both qualifications, so he had to play at the junior college, go 2 years at the junior college.
And you found that out then?
Well, yeah, he knew that, and he had to stay. So if he left Independence after 1 year, his credits would transfer, but he was ineligible wherever he went. But they would take that chance. Yeah. So it would have been like a redshirt year. So I go sit in their house, Mrs. Gilliam, I went on a vacation. You had that old tape on your answer machine. I had 20 calls on the answering machine from I should have saved the tape, from Jerry Tarkany.
Wow, I would have loved to have heard that.
That was a while ago. That was like 82. No, you're talking 82 or 83.
Yeah, you can't even play them back anymore.
Yeah. Should have saved that tape, little reel-to-wheel tape, but I didn't. I did. So I get everything taken care of, and meet the Gilliams, go over to their house. Mrs. Gilliam said he's decided that he loves Coach Tim Gergrich and wants to go to Nevada, Las Vegas. So as the story goes, Coach Tarkanian comes into town. He calls me and says, I'm coming into town. I'm coming.
Did he have his towel?
No. He said, I'm going to stay in my favorite hotel in Pittsburgh, the Green Tree Marriott. I said, okay, all right, no problem. He said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick up, when you get there, Now, he was like a celebrity back then, Coach
Sure,
Turk.
sure.
He says, when you come in, you come up to my room. Here's how I want you to knock on the door twice, wait 30 seconds, and then knock one time. I'll know it's you guys. I'm thinking, oh,
That's crazy.
is this like what is this? Why, just knock on the door. And there it is. He opens up the door, and it's Coach Tark the Shark, Jerry Tarkanian. Walk in, and he looks at Armand. He goes, "You are 6'9". And I said, "Yes, he is. Certainly is." And then he comes in there and said, "Hey, I said, Coach, look, do me. No, I told Mrs. Gilliam that I promised her one thing." He goes, he's coming to your school, and he goes, "Oh, wow, this is great. I can't believe it." He said, "You're coming to Las Vegas, but I promised Mrs. Gilliam one thing, and you got to promise it, that he gets a diploma. He graduates from Vegas." And he said, "It'll be done. He will graduate."
Great story.
As long as he does as long as he
Goes to
fulfills
class.
his courses. And it worked. And
Great story.
And it turned out, here's how it turned out. 3 years, he was there 1 year he didn't play, he was there 3 years. The NBA draft come up that year, and you aren't going to believe who the first pick in the draft was. It wasn't him. It was David Robinson. Okay.
Wow.
Second pick in the draft, Armand Gilliam for the Philadelphia. I think it was Philadelphia 76ers. So.
Thanks for sharing that.
No, that's a story. I mean, I was involved in it, but I try to take a back seat. I didn't want to, Armand's the guy. He gets all the credit. I tried to help out, and they trusted me, which was good.
That's
Parents
awesome.
and
that shows your reputation.
Yeah, thank you.
Through 40 years.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
And now you're on Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thank you.
enjoy
I
coming
appreciate
on.
it.
Appreciate
Bob,
it.
thanks for coming out to the show. It's been a while since we've had you on.
It's been a while since Pitt beat Penn State, too.
Yeah, 16
years. But we're 2-0 in the 2000 millennium, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes, it is.
And the
I'm very
2K.
happy. That's right, 2K.
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 Yeah, we got the 2K, and they got 2 wins.
We got 2 wins, touche.
Touche. Now, I know you're a big Pitt fan,
Yes, sir.
and how did that start?
I really can't remember. I went to my first game in 1965. They beat Miami,
Okay.
and I've just
So when
followed
you
them
go,
ever
they
since.
win.
I can't say that. I've gone.
I'm
to
kidding you. I
I
understand
didn't
that.
go to any games in 66, 67, or 68 when they went 3-27. Though
Oh, that.
I didn't drive then, so
Okay, that's
I had an
good.
excuse. I had an excuse. I wasn't driving yet.
I understand that.
And we had a kid from Beaver Falls, Kenny Shoemaker, that played for Pitt at the time, and Joe Walton had played there. And actually, when I played in Little League, he helped McCarl's Plumbing coach.
Get on. Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, Joe Walton did. In fact, Joe Walton lives next door to my father right now in Beaver Falls, in Patterson Township.
And where do you live at?
I live in Beaver Falls.
Okay. So you made a nice little trip coming in here.
Yes, I did. It was
Thank you.
It was worth every mile. You're welcome.
Just to come for our show. Thank you.
I feel honored to be here. Believe me.
Oh, come on. You're blowing so much smoke here.
Well, then you better get up.
I'm getting indigestion here. I don't know
You
what
should have
happened.
eaten that big burger. Then you wouldn't have had that
was
problem.
good. I even ate a finger on that. It was that
And
good.
I saw you. I was going to try and tell you to take it easy there. You're going to lose a finger, and you did.
Well, I do it before he does because look at his plate. It's clean.
No, I see a couple pieces of pickle on there, and maybe a little bit of cheese, a little bit.
So what'd you think of the Pitt game?
Oh, I loved it. I enjoyed every second of it. I've been waiting for 16 years for this. I don't want to sit here and trash Paterno,
Yeah.
but it's his fault that this series ended.
Well, this stuff's in the past. This is what we have now the next, 3 years?
Yes, 3 more years. We'll be
So-
up in State College next year. And I want to tell you, everyone poo-pooed Penn State. They have a pretty good ball club there.
Yeah, they
They were
did.
a little soft up.
That quarterback was pretty good.
He's going to be very good. He made a few mistakes. I said the
It was
turnovers.
only his second college game.
I know. He moves around pretty well. He threw okay. He made one mistake at the end, and it cost him.
And that happens. And Pitt looked like they were going to give a game away, I'll be honest with you. I was sitting there like everybody else, and it looked like it was going to be another loss in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but everybody said that, they just took their foot off the gas. They ran the ball down Penn State's throat. Now, I couldn't see any reason to change that. Penn State made some adjustments at halftime and stopped them. And Pitt moved the ball, but there was a turnover there too that cost them.
Oh yeah.
And they didn't take advantage of a turnover, and they missed a field goal. I mean, they could have put it out of reach.
Oh,
and they
without a doubt.
I mean, it didn't have to be that close at the end.
Sure.
But the highlight of the game was, they honored the 1976 national championship team, and they put us all way up in the Bud Light deck. That place is so far away from the field that I asked 3 ushers how to get up there, and they didn't even know what it was. It said BD on the tickets, and they had no idea where we were going.
You're kidding.
So I was up there with my grandson, and he's a tremendous Pitt fan. I've been taking him to games since he was 4.
He can't help but be a Pitt fan.
Well, you're absolutely right, and. Coach Madden, the defensive backs coach from the 1976 team in the fourth quarter, was sitting next to him. And in the last 3 minutes, all Brant did was scream and yell and at every play and just getting all upset and pounding his leg and everything else. And Coach Madden turns around, looks at him and said, "That's a spirited little boy you have there."
That made your day.
It made my day, and he could have cared less. He didn't care who he was sitting next to.
Yeah. He was just letting it out.
He was letting it out. He wants Pitt to win. He's been to too many of those games where we snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
Definitely.
It's
happened.
Yeah,
no doubt. No, they look pretty good.
they did look real good. They're well coached. I think Coach Narduzzi outcoached Franklin, and I was glad to see it.
There you go.
I was very happy. It was a big day, and I was a little concerned when he closed everything off to the media, but they got down to business and they did what they had to do, and 42 points that was tremendous.
Sure.
I mean they've got running backs coming out the wazoo there.
I know.
Whoever
they brought in.
But Ollison, Darren Hall looked good.
Sure.
Quadre Henderson's phenomenal.
Yeah,
And then you've got Trey Tipton, who I don't think he's touched the ball yet. I saw Aaron Matthews got into the game too. Zach Chowingsworth, who hadn't been in there. Yeah. Now that Dantes Ford's out, one of those guys are going to start. I guess the
Steelers must have scored. The game's on.
The game's on, but they've been off.
Yeah.
6-0. It was 6-0. They were behind.
Well, they must have done something here. So we'll find out after the show.
Yes, sir.
So
we will.
What else do you want to talk about here?
What do you want to talk about?
You're always posting Pitt stuff. So, and you know all these players over the years. It's just amazing. What guys did you see that you hadn't seen in years?
Well, I didn't want to slight anybody. I took a lot of pictures there.
Okay. We'll wait till you post them up, or
they're up. They're already
are they up?
there.
I must have missed them.
Real Pitt football talk, no nonsense. There isn't a lot of Pitt talk, but there were an awful lot of pictures. It was a great weekend, just a great weekend.
The weather was perfect.
Yes, it was. And we had a get together Friday night in the ballroom at the West, and there were probably 60 or 70 former players that were there. And
that's fantastic.
They had great camaraderie, that team.
Sure.
I mean, that's something this team could learn from. I think Coach Narduzzi's building that, but these guys loved each other.
Yeah.
And it was just such a wonderful evening. And then there was a little get-together in the morning before the game, and then they got everyone together on the field. And it was just so good because they had maybe 6 or 7 guys there this year that hadn't been there in the past. And it was really good to see them.
That's good.
This isn't the first. They've had these every 5 years. And then last year there was a get-together of the 73, 4, and 5 teams, which included just about all these 76 guys. Because they had brought in, Coach Majors brought in 74 freshmen. There were 43 exits from the previous team. So
I know Coach Majors was in town, too.
He was there. Coach Harry Jones was there, former #1 pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. Coach Madden was there. It was funny. A couple of years ago, I was on the field with Coach Jones, and I asked him what he thought of Joe Kuharich because he was the general manager and coach of the Eagles, and he said, "I can't understand that guy. He goes, drafts me #1 and then never plays me." Of course, Coach Jones had a knee that looked like a tic-tac-toe board, so that might have had a little bit to do with it.
It could have.
It could have had something. He was #1 pick out of Arkansas.
Yeah. Wow, that's something there. Now, the stuff you've seen and what goes on there at Pitt.
That was one of the best weekends I've ever spent in my life, and it was topped off with the game. I just loved it.
Amazing. I'm glad you could make it in tonight to tell us a story or two.
I did.
I know.
I could probably tell you a few more, but we couldn't put it on camera.
We'll save that for off the record.
We can save that. There are a lot of those off the record.
Let me check our timer. I think we got a couple more minutes.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, we do.
What else do you want to know about Pitt?
Well, do you follow the Buccos at all?
I follow the Buccos a lot. The Pirates have problems, and they are many. And let me tell you, I think that you
Agree.
you
I agree.
At the beginning of the year, I said that their middle relief was going to kill them, and the one signing, and it wouldn't have cost them much money. The biggest mistake they made was not re-signing Joe Blanton. And I'll tell you why. Because last year and the year before, they had very few games where the starters didn't get into the seventh inning.
Sure.
I mean, the last 3 weeks, I don't think anyone can even go 5.
Doing 3 is questionable.
Right now.
Yeah.
And Hughes has had a really rough year. He was hurt at the beginning. I think they rushed him back,
Well,
and he
this
never
year
was ready.
they got hit by a lot of injuries, which normally wasn't happening.
No, they have. And Liriano, even the first game of the year, everyone was all excited. He had 10 strikeouts, but he walked 5 guys.
Yeah.
They're walking many more guys than they have in the past.
And as a pitcher, that's terrible to do
And
that
that-
because they end
they've
up
been-
scoring those runs.
You know, they've been pretty lucky that way. You know, Huntington, I'm not into all this sabermetrics and all this crap, but that's what they all do now.
Right.
And another thing I've noticed is you look at your old baseball cards you collected back in the 50s and the 60s, you know, other than a Sandy Koufax or a Don Drysdale, how many pitchers had as many strikeouts or more strikeouts than innings pitched? It just never happened before. You look at all these relief pitchers that come in, 43 innings, 51 strikeouts. You never saw that before.
Sure. No, it's changed. The game's changing. It's being
sure has.
segmented by all these specialists.
And I'm a dinosaur, and it's tough to follow all of it.
Well, it's tough when the starting pitching doesn't last long.
Yeah, well, they knew that going into the season. And you know, the funny thing was, had they started the season with Vogelsong and left Nicasio in the bullpen, which you couldn't do because the guy was phenomenal in the spring, although they kept saying he only has 2 pitches, he won't be able to start, it might have been different, you know, because there was a guy that could work 2-3 innings. And he might have gotten you out of some trouble. And another guy that everybody didn't like, but would have been handy on this staff this year, was Vance Worley.
Yeah.
You know, he
I would have liked to see him.
we weed and moaned because he wasn't a starter, but he was a great guy. If you needed someone in the 4th or 5th inning to give you 4 or 5 innings, they didn't have that this year, and now they're in trouble.
Do you think they've played themselves out of the playoffs?
They're right now it appears to be that way because they've lost 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. But you know they could turn around and win 5 games in a row, and then all of a sudden they're right back in it.
Well, we'll see what happens in Philly tonight.
I mean, mathematically they're still.
Well, they have a chance.
Right, they have a good
but
chance.
the play.
But all we see is what they've done the last 2 weeks. They're a 500 team. 500 teams play like that. They play up to a streak, they get ahead, and then when you just think they're about ready to turn the corner, they crap the bed and they.
Great analogy. Thanks for keeping it clean.
I did. I know one.
I'm proud of you.
I did my best there. I didn't want you to. But
You've been on radio before, so now you're on TV.
Yeah.
What are you doing now? What else you got going on?
Not too much. I'm a guest every once in a while on WBVP. They have a sports show with Frank Sparks and Greg Benedetti, and I get on there once in a while.
Good.
Mike
you're keeping active
Roma is the station manager there, and I had a 7-year run with him on the bullpen on KDKA.
Good. I remember hearing you on that bullpen, like I told you.
Then you must have had no life either. Anyone that's listening to the radio at 11 to midnight on a Friday
Well,
night.
I worked some odd shifts at the newspaper at the time, so
Well, we had a great time
I did hear
doing
that going in back and forth to work.
Yeah, we had a great time doing that. We used to get about 30 calls an hour,
That's not
and
bad.
we'd leave about 5 or 6 on there. If they didn't have so many commercials, we could have answered each and every one.
Wow.
And if anyone wants to resurrect the bullpen, we are available.
Anybody with money out there?
Yeah, you just spend it. I'll take it.
We'll take it.
Yes.
Hey, I want to thank you for coming to our show.
Anytime.
With your insights, you're welcome anytime.
Okay, thank you.
You take care.
Will do.
Great job,
See you.
And thanks for watching Pittsburgh Sportsline tonight on BPTV. And I end the show with Stay Joey Strong.